I got PTSD because there's clips on the web now, and I got my hair's like sticking up.
Like alfalfa?
Yeah.
Do you guys know who alfalfa is?
I can't be having that. Yeah.
Okay, tell me about
my hair is the
I'm
source.
just
Of
kidding. I know, I'm kidding.
my hair is the source of my power.
Yeah, Darla.
Edward E. Newman. You know who that is?
No, that's the Mad TV.
Mad Magazine.
Mad Magazine. Mad Magazine.
You know, my client just said he saw
what I meant
in Vegas was a Carrot Top.
Yeah. Oh yeah, still jacked and coked out. Yeah. he said less jacked now. Maybe less coked
out.
Was
he jacked?
Yeah.
He went through like a bodybuilding phase.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was
like shredding growth hormones.
Yeah. But guy was probably sweating 24 hours a day.
That's
a good lead-in.
Just a comedian.
I don't think he was ever an athlete. I mean, he does stand up now.
He was always like a very physical comic. He always had like a kind of a side
props and stuff.
Yeah, that's what he's. Yeah.
Was there like a export athlete with really red hair at one point?
Are you talking about Shaun White?
Shaun White, snowboarder.
Oh, he was my. We didn't talk about him.
We were talking.
He was like my favorite as a kid.
Olympics podcast,
dude. Yeah, because he did skateboarding. And he did X Games and snowboarding, and I was a big skateboarder back in the day. He was like.
Yeah, the X Games were a way bigger deal when we were kids.
Oh yeah, dude, it was huge.
Oh, I remember that. I used to love them as a young adult. Like I was totally into it. Super inspired me on the mountain bike, on the snowboard for sure.
Yeah,
there was some other kind of crazy shit they were doing out there, but
insane.
Yeah, I mean there was that Olympics episode was kind of fun, just kind of going back and getting everybody's take on it because I thought for a minute like maybe I'm just being salty. But
old curmudgeon.
Are you being salty?
Because I know.
Maybe you shouldn't.
Oh, I've been accused of that a few times. I know I am. But God, that was a weird Olympics for me. But getting into it, like during that time, we were talking about the memes. There's been a few posts that have come out lately. A lot of people are talking about this. And when I say a lot of people, it's generally people in like industry folks that. It's not a new topic, but it's been kind of a hot topic for whatever the reasons are. We covered this topic extensively. I want to say it was about 6 months ago, where I think it was Ryan and Cece and I sat down and we talked very specifically about kind of the state of health for where people are and this message that we're sending them about weight loss. And what they're hearing and how they're receiving it and then how they're going about chasing weight loss versus paying attention to body composition. Yep. And we were really going after, kind of what's happened in the medical weight loss industry, weight loss industry, pharmaceutical industry, and the fitness industry, and how the messaging, I think, is fucked with people's health. Yeah. It's really messed them up in terms of weight loss, constantly chasing weight loss, which oftentimes just digs them into a much deeper hole.
Yeah, we've had that conversation with Steven too, with the whole Ozempic.
Yeah, I think it came up.
I mean, we've had plenty of conversations about that, both on and offline.
That certainly is a topic that lends itself to
what we're about to talk about. Yeah. So really, that if we had to kind of put a big umbrella over it, we're really talking about the challenges that exist with using resistance training as a fat loss tool, and the fact that we're even having this conversation is somewhat weird to me, but it isn't. And when I say weird, just like I never, ever thought about lifting weights as a means to lose body fat.
Yeah. Or as a caloric burn.
Yeah, and I just wonder where this came from. And I think I probably know, but I'm curious where you guys think about that.
I mean, I feel like I can identify a lot with it, seeing it, I think through the devices of people wanting to always see what their caloric burn is. I've had a lot of conversations with clients where they're like, how many calories do you burn in a resistance training workout? And I've tried to you can't equate. There's so much of the recovery pro. Yes, exactly. And so that the idea is even when they could be coming here doing strength, threes, and they're still how many calories am I burning? What's my heart rate, variability, things like that. And I think it's the mindset shift of identifying what is the goal for people? What should the goal of whatever you're doing be? And I think a lot of the goal is weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. So that's what people view exercise as oh, I just need to lose weight, so I'm going to exercise. But they don't understand the intention of whatever they're doing, regardless of what form of exercise it is.
Yeah, that's an important word there with that word intention.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's become the gamification of fitness. So, I mean, Orange Theory, F45, looking at your device as far as like how many calories have I burned.
How many splat points or whatever they call it.
Yeah. I think it's
splat points.
Is it?
That's like what it's called,
It
right?
was. I don't know if they're still doing that or not.
in the last 10 to 15 years is where we've seen it.
Well,
more recently, probably 10.
So what is the thing that's kind of increased exponentially in the last 10 or 15 years?
Access.
Social media.
Computer.
I would also say we just can keep getting fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter.
Yeah.
And sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker over the last 10 or 15 years. And there could be some correlation there with regard to the phones and the social media and the devices and things like that. I don't think you can argue that. I think we'll probably learn more about that, over time. But at the same time, like, do I need science to prove that to me? Like, I don't think I do. Like,
what?
Prove that there's a correlation between technology and
our decreasing health.
Yeah, and our
convenience,
plummeting health,
Yeah.
Health and fitness. So I think that's part of it. You were saying something there a second ago, and I think I cut you off
regarding which
I don't know what he was saying there about the
the gauge of a successful workout is the amount of calories that you've expended.
That's it.
For sure.
Yeah,
you close an exercise ring.
You're validated.
Yeah.
You're validated.
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah. CrossFit too. I want to throw that out there because it's been around longer than 10 years, but it's been, 20 years or so, right? When it started to become more accessible to mainstream population.
Crazy to think that, but that's exactly how long it's been around. Yeah. And that was a different deal. Like that was about getting to the end of the workout, not necessarily about burning calories, but those workouts burned a lot of calories, right? So I think about like, where did this start? Like how did people draw the conclusion? Again, I think what happens is people mix things up in their head. They're trying to finish the story. But like, if you go back to like when physique started to become important, right? And it was kind of recognized, like maybe even the mainstream, you just go back to the late 60s and early 70s.
I was just going to say like the Twiggy era.
Well, you go back to like the bodybuilding era when you had guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger and the like, that were physiques were starting to become like a recognized thing.
Celebrated,
and celebrated. And, obviously there was weightlifting that was happening there. When I say weightlifting, I mean the lifting of weights, not necessarily Olympic weightlifting again, that's the technical term for that.
Yeah.
But, or the official term for what you see happen in the Olympics, the snatch, the clean, and the jerk type stuff. But pardon me, the other part is like, you saw those guys lifting weights, and then obviously they would diet down for a show to lean up. Mm-hmm. But those guys were never fat guys. None of those guys were fat guys to begin with.
Yeah.
They were always, well, I want to say always, but they were in pretty good shape, or they were certainly not overweight going into it. Yeah. So they weren't using lifting weights to lose fat. They were lifting weights to build muscle and strength. And some of it might have been the chicken or the egg. For some of those guys, they were power lifters before, and that just turned into the bodybuilding thing because it kind of made sense. And it was getting a lot of attention, and there was ways to compete outside, and it was becoming very accessible to compete outside, like powerlifting, which was still a bit obscure at the time. But that said, like those guys never lifted weights to lose body fat. Those guys lifted weights to get the gains, to get jacked.
Hypertrophy.
Right? Yes. Yeah, and it's kind of always where it's been. And then somewhere along the line, people forgot how to lift weights. And it got kind of weird there for a while. And then all of a sudden, it's like they rediscovered it, and like there's this brand new magic of lifting weights to have better health and have a better physique. Yeah. And now it's been completely bastardized into like, this is the formula for losing body fat. I want to talk about that. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now, is the people choosing weightlifting is like, well, if I want to lose body fat, I have to go strength train. I have to go lift weights. And while, yes, there could be some truth in that, the reality of that is like, you've left so much off of the table here. So maybe we just come back to that and kind of talk about kind of what you guys have been hearing and seeing and what sparked this.
I suppose what sparked it, and kind of how I tie it all together, is what is the role of resistance training for weight loss and fat loss? Because, I mean, obviously, when we have new clients come in here, what is their goal? Basically, every single time, it's, gain some muscle, but more often they want to lose fat or they want to lose weight. Yeah. That's the primary goal. So where does resistance training fit in their goals. Like what role does it serve? What purpose does it serve? And I think where things get maybe conflated is, is my resistance training a means to caloric expenditure, or is it a means to building muscle and all of the downstream benefits that will affect weight loss that come from building muscle? But I'm here lifting weights to build muscle. That is my intention, not here to expend as many calories as possible.
Yeah, but how do I validate that today, Steven?
Yes.
Like, how do I, I did my workout today, and man, I feel like I worked really hard. I mean, look at me, I'm sweaty and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm physically fatigued. But I only burn 300 calories.
Well, man, I mean, we bring up the F45, Orange Theory, all that kind of stuff.
Let's bring it up.
Yeah, so we, where, I'll talk to clients who are like, yeah, we ran on the treadmill and rode and then did all this stuff. And then we did some weights, but I was using, 10-pound dumbbells for all my exercises that I do. So when people think, even when they come in and they talk, like, okay, I want to use the weights to lose weight. A lot of people turn that into, I should just do really high reps and just do a lot of reps, increase the volume. And then I should not rest at all, which I have to beat that out of people a lot of, like, you need to be able to rest. Like, if you're not resting, you're not actually developing any muscle growth or any strength, things like that. And so they turn into you're just lifting weights as cardio. So it's not lifting, it's not resistance training in a way. You have an outside stimulus, but it's cardio because you're turning it into that.
But Ryan, I've heard you say that you can lift lighter loads and still gain strength.
And/or hypertrophy.
How do you explain that?
Well, again, and we talked about it's the intention. So lifting 10-pound dumbbells for lunges, especially when you have the capacity to do, when you have the capacity to do 50, 60-pound dumbbells, one, that's not stimulating enough to still stimulate that, even with higher reps. Two, even if you are having the goal of lift higher reps to build muscle, it still needs to be fatiguing and stimulating enough that you do require rest time. Even from people don't understand this. With resistance training, a lot of people still think I need to recover as purely as is my breathing heart rate, which that is a component of it, but down to a physiological, cellular level of the ionization in the muscle of how is that muscle firing optimally to create enough mechanical tension to build muscle, even with light loads for high reps. You need to rest, even if it is a lower rest, and it needs to still be within, when we say high reps, when you're thinking of even doing 20 reps, that should probably still be somewhere around 50 to 60% of your 1 rep max, maybe around there, right? And so if you can do 50 pounds for reps, let's say you could do 60, 70 pounds in each hand for 1 rep, and you're only doing 10 pounds, that math doesn't math of it being stimulating enough to grow muscle. And then what's the intention? What's the, are you controlling it? What all these different things that go into building muscle.
What is it actually, what does what you're doing actually look like?
Yes.
Are you just flailing around?
Which, yes, that's what it turns into a lot of times.
In terms of when people are trying to get to the most reps possible kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I'm trying to get through the movement. Exactly. 100%. Yeah.
So I add momentum. I'm adding speed. I'm not paying attention to my tempos where I could be slowing it down.
Yes.
That 20 pounds when you could be doing 70 pounds, you can make that feel really heavy, in 20 reps with a very slow tempo or with, your pause. There's all kinds of things you could do. So without, boring people or getting deep into it, I think that probably makes sense for most people, but not for everybody, because it never ceases to amaze me when you just mentioned a couple like the Orange Theory, F45 type folks that come in and say they've been resistance training. And then when we get them into one of our group classes, in our group classes are rooted in resistance training, every single one of them. Yeah. Right.
Even the HIIT class.
We have one that is more, let's just say, body movement and higher tempo, higher intensity training focused, and with more self-limiting movement versus what we're trying to really load somebody. However, they're always surprised when we go, and now we're going to pick up some heavy shit for a couple of reps in between, and they're like, I don't get it. They don't know how to equate it. But the point of this is it's all very much rooted in strength and hypertrophy. So when they come into our classes, they're like, oh, I like this tempo. I like this. And when they say tempo, they like the pace at which the work is moving. The workout is moving. Yes, we turn on the music. Yes, you are more kind of, you might feel like more of a circuit style training, but we've done a very careful job at making sure we're picking reciprocal movements where we're resting one area while moving through another one, so that we're being
for efficiency of time.
Exactly, for time efficiency and the efficiency of the workout that we're trying to provide you in the on that particular day. right? The point of this is they come in here and they look around and they see the other weights that people are using. And oftentimes, and I'm not even say often, I'm going to say every fucking time. Every time they go, man, that's the most weight I've ever used. And I'm like, yeah, and you did 20 goddamn reps of chest press when the workout today calls for 10.
Yeah.
Like
you're not challenging yourself.
You weren't lifting weights before. You were moving before, and that's fine.
Yes.
Because the goal was to burn as many calories as possible.
But that's not resistance training, right? That isn't resistance. That's more rhythmical, whatever movement training. And that's fine. You got to get your movement in. But if the goal is to get the gains, build the muscle to ultimately, whether you're attaching that to losing fat, you're not doing that there. You're burning some calories. But if you could do that, then I don't know, maybe I'll tell you, like, if that was your goal the whole time, I think you've been wasting your fucking time over there, man.
And I think the root of all this is, and this is a lot of things, is going back to shifting what your mindset is around exercise, what the goal is of exercise, which again, people just think exercise, movement, whatever, playing their thing, playing their sport, doing those things like that is my goal is to, most people, it's I want to burn calories, I want to lose weight. Where really most of the time you should change that mindset to what is the goal of this exercise is how is this going to cause an adaptation in my body? What is this specific intention or thing that I'm doing? What's the adaptation it's going to give me, right? So if I'm lifting heavier, this adaptation is going to give me, I'm going to be stronger. This adaptation, if I'm having this intention for hypertrophy, things like that, of this adaptation is going to help me build muscle, which in turn, when you have a physique, when you want to lose weight and you have muscle, you look better, all these different things. That is part of it. And even for me, people talk a lot about utilizing cardio more as a leverage for fat loss, which it can be more of a pure leverage because there is more of the intention of there's not these others. It's not stimulating as many systems as far as more towards caloric burn, things like that. It's more targeted on that. But even that is what's the goal of this cardio that I'm doing as far as how my body is adapting. So that's changing that mindset around exercise as a whole is huge for people, and you'll get a lot more benefit out of the things you're doing when you have that mindset going into it.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at like, what could I be doing if the goal is to burn the most amount of calories, right? To then burn the most amount of fat, to then lose the most amount of weight. And if you stacked it up that way, think about this like, okay, well, how do I build my calorie burning machine? I add muscle to this, right? Because that is going to increase
the baseline.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to increase my baseline, my basic caloric burn for the day, whether I'm exercising or not, goes up, right? And then obviously the calories that I burn during exercise would go up, right, during that time. So the thing that I should be focused on is how do I, number one, build the calorie burning machine? And then secondly, how do I impact that calorie burning machine in the way I need to impact it in order to get the result I'm looking for, which is fat loss that equals weight loss, right? Because those are two different things, right? While they work in tandem together, they are two different things. And so if I am backing this up again to, all right, so if I want to burn more calories, then I should be thinking about building my fat burning machine, my calorie burning machine, which is my total muscle mass, total muscle mass here. So go back to your intention. So when I'm lifting weights, I should be focused on the things that help me build that muscle. Flailing around with 10-pound dumbbells or doing lunges with 10-pound dumbbells for an hour is not going to do that. Are you burning calories? Yes. Are you as efficient as you could be at burning calories if you had more muscle mass?
Yeah.
No. And if you put you weren't agreeing. You were saying
continue. Yeah.
So if I could do the 40 pounders, not only could it be building muscle, I could also be burning more fucking calories doing the exercise because the intensity has gone up. And so I think this is like this part gets confused, and I'm challenged by how this can continually get confused, except that how it's being pitched to them. And again, going back to your Orange Theory, which I've had my druthers with for a very long time. I love it, just like CrossFit. Like there's a lot of things I really do like about CrossFit, and I really respect it. I do. I have my druthers with it, and a lot of it comes down to the understanding of the user of the CrossFit, right? Leaving that one alone, let's go over to the Orange Theory thing. The problem with Orange Theory is that it's being pitched to a population that is very susceptible to misunderstanding what we're talking about and selling it to them as this is the way to lose weight, and that you have to do resistance training and some cardio training together. But what they're delivering isn't that.
Resistance training.
It's not that.
Yeah.
In fact, it's worse because all they're doing is they're starting to get close to high intensity interval training, but it's not even really
they're not even getting that benefit.
They're not even really getting that.
Yeah.
Like it starts there with the splat points and the heart rate monitors and things like that. With
scoreboard,
like
whatever,
trying to understand what your orange zone is and your fat burning zones and shit like that are. So I give you like a measurement up front, and all you're focused on is getting your heart rate to a specific point, right? Which is a dangerous proposition if the goal at the end of the day is to do what the thing is, what the thing says is like, we're going to help you build muscle and lose fat. No, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
You know how I know that? Because that shit works until it doesn't work. And it usually is about 90 to maybe 120 days for the new user. And then after that, it goes into the same topic that Steven and I are talking here ad nauseum about at least once a fucking month. And that is the metabolic adaptation that happens on top of the neurological adaptation that's happening. Like they're building some skill and the things that they're doing, like running on treadmills and using TRXs and maybe moving some weights around, some different modalities around. At the end of the day, what they've done is they've decreased their ability to burn calories because they've now dipped into a place where the demands they're placing on their body do not meet or are overriding the demands that, overriding the amount of calories that they're putting in there and their ability to recover from that.
Yeah, they've basically gotten themselves into a catabolic state. And I think that is kind of where things get, where they get screwy is, I'm trying to do this workout to expend as many calories as possible. I'm not as concerned about building muscle mass, building my metabolic machine. So I may be going in and, and trying my little heart out for an hour in Orange Theory, probably not eating enough. And over time, we're going to get into this state where, like you said initially in the first 4 months, maybe they're losing weight, they're losing body fat, and they're losing muscle.
Yes.
And this is where we get that rebound effect. And there actually is a biological mechanism there called body fat overshooting. And this is the mechanism behind why we get such a rebound when someone comes off of a crash diet. So during their crash diet, they were losing weight, they were losing fat, and they were losing muscle. Yeah. So their basal metabolic rate, or their baseline amount of calories that they burn, has decreased. Their metabolism has become suppressed. And now you get this phenomenon that I actually learned about just recently in regards to this topic. It's called hyperphagia, where it's essentially this excessive hunger and this need to eat all the time. If you think about it,
because you've been starving yourself.
You've run your body into this massive deficit, and your body's like, bro, we're hungry.
We need to refill these stores.
And your body is trying to create some anabolism. Your body is trying to create some growth. So you go through this crash diet, you lost weight, you lost muscle. Now you're at a lower baseline, and now you rebound and you gain back more body fat than you lost in the first place. So you have actually gone ahead and just buried yourself deeper than you were before. And then people go through this process again and again until they're like just completely fucked.
Exactly right.
And then wondering like, I eat 700 calories a day and I exercise 6 times a week. I feel terrible, and I also am not losing weight. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm completely confused at this point. And that's because the focus was caloric expenditure versus preserving muscle mass.
So not only they fucked physiologically, now they're fucked psychologically and emotionally about this.
Well, I mean, you just touched, Stephen, on the catabolic process and then the anabolic process. And so, weight loss is a catabolic process. Cardio, when used improperly, is very catabolic. So when you're resistance training, you should be using that for the anabolic.
Yes.
Right? Building that base.
In addition to high protein.
And the nutrition and the recovery that comes along with it. So I think, it comes down to, one, the information that's out there. And when I say out there on social media, on the internet, whatever. And then it's only given in one, I think one view, maybe. There's not the nuance there. There's not a discussion there to elaborate on what's being presented. And so then I think that's where then the miscommunication and the miseducation comes in for a lot of people.
100%.
So
there's not enough context given.
No,
Man,
no.
Yeah, it's where I get frustrated with this age of information that we have is that I almost feel like it brings more confusion.
100%.
And we've talked about this with people, with people that I respect, they give this thing that is helpful in this case. But when you present it as this like little post that is quick and provides this context, and half the people don't even watch the whole video that you posted and just see the headline, like resistance training should not be, used for fat loss. So people are thinking, maybe even who see that, oh, I shouldn't resistance train if I'm trying to lose fat.
Yeah, like I should only do cardio.
I should only do cardio, and these things that it's these snippets where it just creates more and more confusion around these issues.
Yeah, and then the post that we shared in our group discussion about, so hypertrophy and strength gains, it can be done in repetitions of 8 to 10 or 10 to 15 or 15 to 20. And it's like, well,
so what is it?
So what do I do? Should I do all of them? Should I do none of them?
And then you have the individuals that are seeing this and like, oh yeah, well, I want to lift weights, but I want to do a lot of repetitions and lighter loads because I don't want to get big.
Bulky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I've been trying to get bulky for.
So then it just
if only it worked
compiles one on top of the other as far as looking at the rep range, looking at the information. I don't want to get bulky, but yet there's no nuance or further discussion other than the graphic that's in front of you.
Yeah,
easily digestible, fast, quickly misunderstood.
Yeah,
in very quickly can go viral, and just all of a sudden it's in front of 1 million people because of whatever the headline is. I'll digress on that and just go back to the what Steven was saying about digging the hole and getting themselves pretty fucked. Because, and I mentioned how does it happen? When does it happen? I'll give you the timeline. And so and the reason I'm giving you the timeline is to understand how much further ahead you could be if you know about how this timeline works. And it basically works like this. Start the new exercise program, right? Orange Theory, whatever, right? What do? You've now signed up for that membership that gives you access 3 times a week, right? You're probably being a little more conscious about what you're eating because you've now made this investment in your fitness, whatever that is, 180, 190, $200 a month or whatever they're charging you to go 3 times a week.
And conscious is probably just eating less.
That's exactly right. So it's consciousness of what's going in your face. So if the hand to mouth frequency changes, then that's good, right? If it just goes down, then that's good, right? That's about as far as that thought process obviously or tends to go. And maybe today I'm going to order the salad. I don't really want the salad, but I know I shouldn't eat the fries, so today I'm going to eat the salad. And you do that 2 days in a row, and then by the 3rd day, you're going like, fuck that, I'm having the fries, right? Or whatever. So that's about as in-depth as that goes. Then the next thing you do is now you're going to the gym 3 days a week. They're going to Orange Theory, you're going to these workouts, which are burning way more fucking calories for you than you've been burning in general. And so guess what happens? Your body starts to drop weight.
It adapts.
It's going to adapt. And you're going to start to see that happen over time. So not only are you metabolically adapting to the workouts that you're doing, you're also neurologically adapting. And because you've not been doing shit for a long time, or maybe you did a long time ago, and your body's kind of is almost ready and primed to be able to maybe put a little bit more muscle on or pick up that skill a little faster, you will notice maybe things get a little firmer. You may put on a little bit of muscle mass. You're pounding yourself to death on the treadmill, perhaps for 17 minutes or whatever the everyday protocol is for that particular workout or whatever. Your body will adapt. Like, I need to put on a little muscle to maintain this running that you're making me do until it doesn't have to anymore.
Yeah.
Because the resistance doesn't change. It will adapt to what it needs to. And if you're not changing that, then it's not going to continue. So that gets you about, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks into your process here. Now you're starting to feel kind of fit, right? Because you've lost a couple of pounds, you've gotten a little stronger, your skill set's improved.
Workouts feel easier.
The workouts feel easier. You're maybe even thinking, shit, it's working pretty good. Maybe I go 4 days a week.
Yeah.
So you bump it up to 4 days a week, right? And, the nutrition thing is the nutrition thing, but you're recognizing, man, I actually don't have to work that hard on the nutrition thing because this other workout seems to really be working. And then you get about 8 weeks into that shit and you're going, okay, the weight loss isn't happening quite the same as it was happening before. So what should I do? Well, I'm already going 4 days a week.
I could
maybe go to 5. I could do that. Or I could maybe eat a little bit less.
I'm going to start intermittent fasting as well.
Yeah, but I don't want to eat less. I'm just going to do that because that's going to work. So you
no more breakfast.
You adopt some fucked up. You plant some flag in the ground on
half-assed approach.
Some half-assed approach to your diet. Now you're 90 days in, and the weight loss has stopped, right? And you feel like you're working really hard because this is 5 days of exercise that you're doing now versus the no days you were doing 90 days ago. And you feel like you are eating clean.
Yes.
I
eat really clean.
And doing the right things. And fuck, I'm carnivore now.
Yeah.
You know, like, and look at all these people that I can call they're part of my tribe because I'm carnivore. And so what do? You start eating less or you start working out more. If you pick up like a 6th day. Long story short, by the end of that 120 days, you are now deep into that hole. Yep. That's how that works. And so now you're either going to throw up your hands or you're going to get desperate and you're going to do something crazy, right? Which is, I don't know, go on a water fast.
Start
for
taking
3 days.
Ozempic.
Or do Ozempic or
cut carbs entirely.
I don't know, pick up the cycle bar class down the street, or I have to fucking do yoga now too, or
hot yoga.
You know, I'll go, it's high intensity interval training. That's what I need. It's just some stupid shit because you never had any plan from the get-go and you made an assumption probably because that's what you were pitched because you didn't know at the beginning. And I'm telling you, that is the cycle every single time without fail. So ask me how I know.
You've seen it
100 times. No, thousands of times at this point.
And the theme with this whole thing is, we've talked about your body adapting to what you're putting through the stimulus. And the whole theme of that story is being catabolic and breaking you down. So your body's adapting and you start more and more to run on low power mode. So you are stressed, you feel like shit, you have brain fog, you have low libido, you have all these things because you're not dying, you're eating less and less, but you're not losing weight. So your body's saying, oh, I guess we don't eat enough now. I only eat 700 calories or 1,000 calories or whatever you're on now. So now I'm going to run on low power mode, even to your immune system, digestion, all these different things, sleep.
We got to cut some budget here.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's where people think like I hardly eat and I exercise all this time. Why don't I continue to lose weight? And it's because your body is adapting to the situation that you're putting in
survival mode.
Survival mode of I guess we have to run to try to find our food every single day, and then I hardly get any of it. So and that's deep within human nature and human physiology. And so I think on a positive note, I kind of want to talk just a little bit about a client that Steven and I work with. We've been working with for a while. And it's interesting because we talk about weight loss. And this individual has been with us both for about 3 to 4 months. And in this time, we've been Steven has upped their calories, I think around 1,000 calories more than they were on. And at this point, they haven't lost weight. But then I was talking about their body composition. And in this, before I even talk about that, is their exercise routine has been mainly rooted in resistance training with here dips of conditioning and metabolic work and things like that. But they have lost body fat percentage, lost body fat content, and put on lean body mass while upping their calories of over 1,000 calories at this point, and in this whole rebuilding phase and all these other areas of their life, they're recomping, and their lifestyle has improved greatly. And if you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, and now that person, if a client BT is now has successfully gone through the reverse process and is now at the kind of the top of the roller coaster hill. And now we cut down and now we deficit down to attack his fat loss goals that he had from the beginning.
Yes.
But he's been patient in terms of like, we need to build up your metabolic engine because this is a fairly stocky, big guy.
Yes, he's strong.
Naturally over 200 pounds. Like a healthy weight for him would be probably 220 pounds.
Yeah.
So he was under eating for a man of his size.
So how long did this process take?
It's 90 days, 3 months.
Yeah, three.
Okay, that's not long.
Yeah,
that's not too long.
It's the same amount of fucking time as I just said the Orange Theory thing is. But with the exact opposite result.
And he's gotten strong as hell. His life is
himself up for success.
Exactly. Yeah. And so now it's exciting to be at this point because the whole theme of that was building him up to allow him for his body to withstand. And with some of my other more extreme people that are weight loss clients, I've seen this time and again as people I've worked with over the years of people want to lose weight initially when I kind of like, okay, I guess I'll let you almost figure it out, find out the hard way a little bit, and their body just continues to break down, or they get hurt and they're losing and they're getting hurt and they're sick all the time. Versus the people that I have to take to where they have to take this long process of building their body up so that they can withstand the hard journey that is weight loss, that is, fat loss for somebody, right? That is the body recomping. That's a hard on your body thing to
the
do.
catabolic process.
It's a catabolic process. So if you're already at a pretty, let's say, broken down position when you start out, and then you're trying to break down even more right off the get-go, you're going to fail. You're going to get to these points where you're injury, you're not feeling all this other things we talked about. But when you build yourself up through things like resistance training and utilize that correctly, that allows you to put you at the top of this hill to now be able to succeed and weather the storm that is fat loss.
He has leverage now. That's what we've been trying to build this entire time. Yeah, increase his basal metabolic rate has increased. Now he's burning more calories at rest. Yeah. He's increased his muscle mass, and now that muscle mass is going to help him withstand the caloric deficit that we're about to get into, where in theory, I always say in theory because this is not a perfect science.
Human condition.
He will now begin to lose fat more rapidly, and hopefully preserve the muscle mass that he has gained.
Yeah, and his training is not going to look very different at all. So
it continues to be the same. Now we're just kind of dialing in on the back end.
We just had to prep him to respond to it differently.
Okay, so that's it. So going back to where we start with this is using resistance training as a fat loss tool. Maybe it's semantics if you want to look at it this way. In the way that we're talking about it right now, you did use it as a fat loss tool. Yeah. You used it appropriately and used it with a lot of other tools that were in your toolbox in order to construct or rebuild this house. Yeah. Right? So it wasn't that you just pulled the hammer out and everything looks like a nail. Yeah. Right? And that the hammer is the weight loss, or the resistance training. No, the hammer does something very specific, right? Mm-hmm. But so do all the other tools in the toolbox in order to build this house. You need to measure some things. You need a fucking measuring tape, right? You're going to need a speed square, right? In order to make sure you got the right angles on stuff. Otherwise, from that foundation to the time you put the roof on, things are going to look pretty fucked up if you're not careful.
You'll set the right foundation,
right? Yeah. Things need to be cut to the right length, and you need to be using the right kind of saw, because if you're using an axe, on a 2x4, right, your house is going to look pretty fucked up. So the point of this being is like, I don't know that like the term, like, again, I think it's flashy to say, the dangers of using, resistance training as a fat loss tool. It shouldn't be used as a fat loss tool. But the bottom line is it does get used as a tool to ultimately lose fat in a very specific application. Yeah. And the lumping it all together with very little understanding, and then again going back to not measuring, like measure twice, cut once. Yeah. Take this process slow, because if I'm trying to rush at the beginning, right, with my foundation, by the time I get to the rafters and the joists and ultimately putting the fucking eaves or the roof on my house, it's like that building down the street. So remember, Cece, we were driving down the street. It burned down the old party place, the old Williams party place. It's the corner here, right up the street. I'm like, look at that roof. They're almost done with it. They're almost done with this shit, putting this thing on, they're repairing it because it had been damaged in a fire. I'm like, look at the angle. That roof is so fucked up. Like, how did they get, like, how did that happen? And sure enough, they spent another month and a half tearing it all apart to have to rebuild it. I'm like, how much money did that cost that insurance company, that contractor, and labor and all that stuff? Because somebody didn't check at the beginning, right? Like didn't have a solid plan. And maybe the plan was there, but the execution was terrible. So whatever happened about it is just, in thinking about kind of building the house, and you can use resistance training as a fat loss tool if that's your ultimate goal. But you're not using it to lose fat. You're using it to build the muscle burning machine that can burn the fat when you're in a position to do it, which is a lot more than just building muscle, to be clear. But you also said something there about like the conditioning pieces. Yeah. Like his workouts aren't going to look to lose the fat. No. It's not going to be like, well, now we're doing all cardio. Now we turn on the high intensity interval training. Yeah, like exactly. There's a time and a place for that too. And like, we won't use that. I wouldn't imagine you guys are going to use that until he's gotten deep into the fat loss, into the fat loss goal. We're down to that last few pounds and they're just trying to hold on. You're like, okay, we have a very specific goal. Probably get him to a place that he may not be able to maintain very long. Right. Yeah. But
we can sprint for a
little bit, pull a few pounds off. He can feel good, maybe stay a little leaner for the vacation or whatever else. And then maybe puts a few pounds on, because that's sustainable.
And when he puts that back on, though, it's not going to be just an avalanche of body fat coming back on. Exactly. So that's as this individual kind of ratchets down, and, we'll step out of the deficit back into like a refeed or a recovery, and he'll increase his calories for a short period of time. And in that period of time, he probably won't gain very much, if any, body fat.
Yeah.
Because we've set this up properly.
Yeah.
But when people crash diet and then reintroduce the calories, now I just load body fat back on because I'm in this metabolically suppressed state to begin with, and I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Hungry all the time. Yeah, last thing I'll say, and I bashed Orange Theory. I have no problem doing that. I'll continue to do it. I know it's done a lot of great things for a lot of people, and I mentioned it's not all negative. It's stocked our gym with fresh new clients constantly, so I appreciate them for that. But it's also pulled people into the exercise realm.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people have had some level of success with it. It's
been their life jacket.
It's their life jacket, right? For the moment. It's gotten them involved. It's taught them that they can do it, right? It is, for them, maybe it's hard, and doing that hard thing is taught them something about themselves and what they need to do moving forward. It's also employed a lot of people in the community. It's been a kind of a centerpiece or a positive outlet for people in the community. Those are all good things. From the exercise theory end of things, I think it's dog shit. And the fact that they haven't kind of come out and tried to make some corrections to that in my mind, like publicly, I think that's dog shit too.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're perfect or anybody else is, but that's just kind of my feeling on it. But going back to the crash dieting, if you are eating or under eating already, whether you understand that or not, and you go to a place like that with the expectation of fat loss, that's effectively your crash dieting.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're just creating a further deficit, which is a crash diet, right? Whatever that is. Like, I don't really, diet is the accumulation of all the things that we put in our body with regard to nutrients. And if you're already not putting that in, and then you're piling on caloric burn, you're crashing and burning.
Yeah.
Call it a crash diet, because your diet is going to be part of the crash as well as the additional calorie burning. So without beating that up too much, resistance training as a fat loss tool, it's an awesome tool to eventually get to fat loss or be part of your weight loss that comes from fat loss journey. It's about application. So when you hear people kind of talking about it and putting this stuff out there, or they're using it as buzzwords in their marketing, whatever else. Look, every gym is going to lose or build muscle, lose fat somewhere on their website or in their call to action. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's how it's applied. So think about that as you're hearing from the people that are talking about this stuff, or the people that are pitching it. But to your point, I think Steven and Ryan here, like, you guys just articulated, that's not magic.
Yeah.
It isn't fucking magic. It's eat appropriately, exercise so that you can, with the intention of building muscle, so that you are now set up in the long term to lose the fat / weight that you want to ultimately lose. Sustainably, right? And if you did that for the first 90 to 120 days, instead of just going, that one looks good, that one looks like it burns the most of calories, and I get to, I get to engage with this cool app and this cool little device on and that validates or tells me that I'm doing the right thing. See you in 120 days.